Vivek Mahbubani. Thank you very much for getting my name correct. You got it correct, really. It was very good. Maybe a lot of you might have seen a clip of me doing comedy on YouTube, or you might have seen some commercials or whatever. You might have seen me on YouTube. And the fun thing is, I have some video clips of myself doing comedy online. And one day my friend came over to my house to watch it with me. Now, he sat next to me watching this clip of me doing comedy on the internet. He told me, that guy looks like you. It is me, right? But today, my topic's the angle of happiness, because I'm a firm believer that everything can be a good thing if you know how to look at it. For example, I'd like to just start by saying that I am different. Although I grew up and I was brought up the same way as every other person in Hong Kong. The only real difference I had was that I'm an Indian. And the fun thing is that being an Indian, growing up in Hong Kong, people always have these impressions of you and expectations of you. And when you don't satisfy their expectations, they get upset, you know? Like, when I was in school, we were watching ETV. And on ETV, you know, they were introducing different cultures in school. And the host was saying, a lot of Indian people like to wear turbans. Now, my whole class started to turn and look at me. And they actually said, he's fake. I'm really Indian, I'm not lying. But like I said, I'm different, and it really depends on how you see things. For example, when I was in primary 1, I went to an all-boys school. Now, being in an all-boys school and looking like me is a problem, because, you know, they're like, oh, E.T., you know. But that's all right. But my first day of school, I remember someone raised their hand, and they're like, listen, we have a girl. And I was like, why am I a girl? And he said it's because I have long eyelashes. So I remember I was 6 years old, I went home, I was unhappy, I told my mom I'm going to cut my eyelashes so I can become a boy, I don't want to be a girl anymore. But then afterwards, when I grew up, when I became around, 17, 18, I realized this is a good thing. Because women love to touch it. And they always tell me, I would love your eyelashes, like, I can't give them to you. I can't be like, here, take it. It doesn't work, right? But the thing is that I never fit in school. I was always the one who stood out because of my skin color, my attitude and everything. But over time, I kind of developed this model for myself is that if you fit in, you won't stand out. And in a way, doesn't everybody want to be outstanding? You want to be an outstanding student. I stood out, I was the best. So I don't even have to try, and I'm already standing out. And it became a good thing, the more I accepted that I was different, it became a good thing. And it kind of made me realize that it was just a matter of me seeing myself in a different light. For example, when I was in primary school, I would always feel different. And when I was in secondary school, I would be different because, puberty would come. I would start developing body hair. I would have facial hair, all that stuff. Now, when I was in secondary school, there was a rule in school that you are not allowed to leave a beard or goatee, no mustache, nothing, right? I like this, and I could grow this. So I started growing this goatee, and my teacher in school stopped me, and he said, hey, you can't do that, that's against the school rules. And so I thought about it, and I said, well, my religion requires. I was lying, but it was really like how I perceived it, And when I was younger, having facial hair was awesome. It's like, yeah, this is the best, and I can grow a beard whenever I want to. But now that I'm older, having facial hair is annoying because it's like it's taunting you. It's making fun of the fact that you're losing hair up here, but you're gaining hair down here, which is not the point, So when I went to university, the funny thing is that in university, all of a sudden, everybody wants to be my friend. Because what would happen is I went to creative media. And in creative media, there's a lot of filming. Now, to get a better grade in films, you have to make your film international level. Now, the best way to make something international is to have a foreigner in the movie. I am a foreigner. So now all my friends would need a foreigner and they would get me. Why? Because I understand Cantonese. So they can speak to me in Cantonese, but everybody else thinks, wow, this is right? Everyone's like, wow, you know a foreigner, that's great. Which brings me to another thing. It's like, I was always the same person. Yet, when I was younger, I didn't like being myself. When I was in secondary school, it was weird. In university, I kind of stood out, I was different. But now that I've gotten older, I realized that not only should I see myself in the way that I want to be seen, but it's about seeing life as well. For example, I'm a stand-up comedian. Now with stand-up comedy, you're basically going on stage, talking to people with no props, no PowerPoint, nothing, just you and a mic, and you're telling them stories or telling them things about life that is funny. Now, how can you make something funny? All you're really doing is telling them the same thing they already knew from a different perspective. For example, right? Now, I have a lot of body hair. This is true. I can't help it. You know, it just keeps growing like that. I'm growing hair right now. I can't help it. The thing is that I like to share a joke with you guys where I'm proud to be hairy. Because being so hairy means I never get mosquito bites. I only get mosquitoes trapped in my hair. It's really good. It's very useful. Try it. You should try it as well. But like I said, it's really how you see things. And this all began for me when I started writing a journal in secondary school. I developed this habit of writing a journal because I was kind of lonely in secondary school, being the different guy. I remember I was in an all-boys, basically I went to an all-boys primary school, all-boys secondary school, and finally I met girls in university. Now in secondary school, we were a bunch of boys. Obviously we want to meet girls, and the only way they thought of meeting girls was in these completely useless school dance balls. It's absolutely useless, but we had to do it. Now I remember one day these girls and talk to them. They would meet them one by one. They would see me and run away. And I was unhappy. I thought, you know, foreigner. I want to be like Chinese. I want to be like local. You know, just accept me. I want to be the same as you guys. And I started writing a journal. Now, when I was writing that journal, I would just write my feelings. Now, many years later, when I reread that journal, it's quite funny to think that I was so frustrated over such silly things. Because now the way I see the same situation is different, right? Because I'm older, I realize, you know what, it's fine, I was young, what do I know, right? But that's the same thing, even with life today, I still write a journal every day. And that helps me because I like to read that entry 1 month later. So for example, let's say I have a big exam tomorrow. I'm going to be writing no, I'm not studying, I'm writing my journal. I'm writing in my journal, oh, you know, I'm so stressed out, you know, I wish I studied hard, I wish I worked better, I will never do this again, I regret everything I did, you know, I'll study after watching this TV show, you know, all that stuff. And then 1 month later, after the exam is done, let's say I pass it, right? Then I look back at that entry and I'm thinking, wow, I was so nervous, but it wasn't that bad, you know? It was okay, I didn't fail, it was cool, you know, it's okay. And that reinforces the fact that, you know what, sometimes I overstress things. My personality, I overstress a lot of things that aren't that big. You know, let's say me coming over here, I'll be thinking, oh my God, I go there, I talk to them, I gotta make a speech, I gotta be formal, I gotta be polite. I'm overstressing it, right? Tomorrow, when I look back at yesterday's journal entry, I'll laugh. I'll be like, it wasn't that bad, you know, it was okay. I was just talking to people, it was a fun time, you know? So another thing is that journal writing is one way I because I'm externalizing my internal feelings. This to me is a big help. Even with life or even with comedy. When I'm writing my jokes and all that, I can't just think about it in my head and just walk away. I have to write it down. Because when you write something down, you actually take the action of slowly writing each letter, and you have to really say it in your head, write it down, and then you will be digesting these thoughts in the process. Same with journal writing, same with any creative work. So for me, I would say one thing that really helped me with journal writing and basically seeing things from a different perspective. My personality, I'm a very easily bored person. So what happens is I like to see things from the same thing from a different perspective every now and then. Just like my body hair, right? You know, I'm bored of looking at it every day. So I start thinking, what can I do with this? So I start trapping mosquitoes, you know, I try to do all these things. And I think to myself, you know, what if one day I met a girl? You know, and you know, she's a very shy girl, you know. And you know, let's say we're going out together. Will she be very shy and she doesn't want to hold on to my arm or my hand? Maybe she'll hold on to the hair on my hand. It'll always happen, right? So I'm thinking of all these different things I can do with body hair. You know, I can make a scarf with it, I can make carpets with it, I can do a lot of things with it, you know. If I'm famous, I can sell it. It will work. It's just a matter of seeing things from a different perspective. Leonardo da Vinci, I'm sure you've all heard of him, he said one thing that really inspired me, and it's that if you don't see something from at least 3 different perspectives, you haven't really seen it. And it's the same with life. You know, a lot of things happened to me where I thought back then, oh, you know, this is horrible, I hate it. When you think about it again, it's not that bad, you know. How many times have you broken up with someone, you know, your ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend? At that moment, you're like, ugh, right? But afterwards, you meet someone better, and then now you're like, ugh. You know? You're happy that you broke up with that person, right? So a lot of these things happen over time, but it's just a matter of realizing that, you know what, it's fine. Just see it from a different angle. I'll give you a good example. How many people have read the book Art of War by Sun Tzu, Sun Tzu Ping Fa? Anybody read this book? Fantastic, great. Don't worry, I'm not challenging you guys, but this book to me was the life-changing book for myself, because it's a book about realizing that life is basically you're battling against your own demons. It had one quote I'd like to share with you guys that really made me realize that it's not worth wasting time being unhappy. It says, lies not in winning every battle, but in being victorious without ever fighting. And when I read that, I thought about it, I was like, so what you're saying is, don't try to win every time. Just walk away or find a way to be victorious without trying to compete in the battle, in the game. So for example, back in school, I'd always say, oh, I gotta be number 1, I gotta be better than this guy, I gotta work harder, get a better grade, it's always about being better. I gotta look better, I gotta dress better, I gotta be cooler, I gotta be smarter. It's always about comparing with someone else, right? But we all know that whatever it is you do, someone's gonna be better than you. And this will eventually make you unhappy because, oh, I'm not as good as blah, right? Now the thing is, when you realize that, you know what, who cares? There's always someone richer than you. There's always someone taller than you. There's always going to be someone uglier than you as well. So if when you remember this and you say, you know what, I don't care about the other people around me. It's about me. Be selfish. And then you realize that life is pretty good. I'm not saying be selfish like don't care about other people, but more like, you know, don't bother about what they think of you in a negative way. It doesn't matter, right? There's another thing that a lot of people used to tell me, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. People tell me this all the time. I do not agree. I believe money does buy happiness if you know how to spend it. That's what I think. I'll give you a good example. I recently went to Bali for a vacation after many, many years. Now, to me, I thought, oh, why am I spending so much money going overseas? I could just sit at home and relax, right? But when I went there, it forced me to stop everything I normally do. And when I was there, I was sitting at the beach, looking at the sky for 5 hours, doing nothing. But it turns out I enjoy that much more than, let's say, going for a good dinner or even going out for drinks. I enjoy that in a different level. But I couldn't do that without money, right? But the point is, I no longer try to earn money because I need to be rich. Being rich is pointless. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a very famous classic book. And the funny thing about that book is that chapter 1 basically said, this book is not about money. Think and Grow Rich. Great, thank you, that's great, you know. But the thing is, when I read that book, it taught me that, you know, if you want to define rich, it's not about how much money you have, because money does nothing. It's sitting in your bank and it's going to go in anyway, right? We all know bankers are going to kill our money for us. But the point is that if you know how to spend it properly, you can find ways that you are happy. And how do you know how to spend it? It's through writing journals, getting to know who you are. All those years of writing my journal got to help me better know myself. By knowing who I am, I could stand firmly and tell you I could not have done that, or I would have done that. That's my style. That's not like me, you know. For example, someone might say, oh, someone made a drawing like this. I can tell you that's not my style. I would never do something like that. Because I spent so much time writing journals and thinking about, you know, who am I? What is this? I don't understand this, you know. A lot of these things that people may just say, oh, that's, you know, for kids. Writing a journal is for kids. But when you write a journal, when you think about your day again at the end of the day, you think of it from a new angle. For example, if I tell you, okay, from maybe outside, or sitting in the taxi. That's it, right? How many people are thinking, wait, am I sitting in front or am I sitting in the back? And what's inside the taxi? You know, I'm sure you've seen many taxi drivers, they're driving and on their dashboard they have 5 phones, right? They have all these fancy phones. What if that guy had 5 iPhones? You know, that's a pretty rich driver, right? A lot of these things, you know, I remember one time I was sitting in a taxi and he had a whole bunch of air fresheners. A lemon, a little helicopter that would move with the air conditioning. He had an automatic freshener, he had a little cologne. I thought to myself, you know, like, what are you trying to say? Am I trying to say? You don't like your clients? It doesn't make sense, you know. So a lot of these things, you know, when I go back home and I write about it, you know, it's quite funny. But maybe at that moment, I might have been like, what are you trying to say? I'm not that smelly, what are you trying to, you know, I might get upset. When you think about it, it's quite silly, right? A big inspiration for me to say, you know what, I don't care what people think anymore. She used to make me read books by Dr. Seuss. There's a book called Cat in the Hat. It's a Cat in the Hat. Check it out. This guy is a genius. I love his books. It's just about a lot of crazy stories. And he had a saying that really struck me. My mom told me this when I was much younger. She said, be who you are, say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. And it made me realize you could wear tie, shirt, pants, all that stuff. I'm wearing Vans shoes. Not because I'm a cool guy, but that's just what I like. I don't like leather shoes. Now, you might say, well, that's not right. That's the wrong thing. I'm here, I'm standing, it doesn't matter, right? The key is, if we're enjoying ourselves, who cares? It doesn't matter. The next time you go out and let's say your friend's like, oh, look at you, your bag is in LV. Who cares? It doesn't matter anymore. Perfect example, a lot of times I do comedy now, and you know, people might know me from stand-up comedy. They might be like, oh, you're the guy with the awards, you know, you're famous, I've seen you on TV, blah, 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 all that stuff. Who cares? At the end of the day, no matter how famous I am or whatever, if I come on stage for a comedy show and I'm not funny, it doesn't matter. People won't like it, no one's happy, right? But at the end of the day, if I'm on this stage and I do my job, whether or not I'm a celebrity, if I'm funny and you laugh, everyone's happy. And all I'm really doing is telling you something we all probably already know. Is that, you know what, at the end of the day, just be happy. There's no real medicine to it. It's just really saying, you know what, think about it. Think about today. It wasn't that bad. Because you know what, there's still tomorrow. I'll leave you with this one last note, is that for me, a lot of times people tell me, oh, you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? The truth is, I started comedy 4 years ago. And my life has completely changed with stand-up comedy. In many ways, for example, I'm over here. I would have not been over here talking to you guys unless it was stand-up comedy, right? And the fun thing is that 5 years ago, I thought to myself, oh, I hope that in 5 years' time, I will have a stable income, and I will be happy, and that'll be great. But now my life's so different, where I'm no longer trying to say, I want to be here and here and here. But it's more like, if tomorrow I can wake up and not regret yesterday, which is today, and not regret the day before, then I did. That's how I kind of live, where it keeps it simple. Because in 5 years' time, what I want today is not going to be the same I want in 5 years' time. And I'm sure it's the same with you guys. So instead of trying to over-expect and trying to be too excited about stuff, my way of just staying happy is just to say, you know what, yesterday was a pretty good day. So let me make sure that today's also a good day. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to have to sit in my room and write that journal. And I don't want to write in that journal, today sucked. I want to write in that journal, cool, I like today, let's see what's in for tomorrow. Alright, so I hope you guys have enjoyed what I just said and had a few laughs as well. And I'm open to questions in both English and Guangdonghua. Also 한국말, by the way, just FYI in case. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear you guys. Please feel free to challenge me. Questions, that's cool as well. People ask me all weird questions, like for example, you know, they will ask me that. I don't have a problem with that. Or I don't care. Ask me. You know, or like, oh, who do you think is prettier, Chinese girls or Indian girls? Feel free to ask whatever you want. All right. So if there's any questions, please feel free to come up to the mic and speak to me. Thank you.
So any questions from
the fun thing is I've studied in Hong Kong my whole life, and I've experienced Q&A sessions here, which are pretty much useless, because no one wants to be the first person, right? I know that, don't worry. But feel free, I'm not scared of you guys. You can come on to the mic, yeah.
Thanks for your inspiring speech. You make me very happy as well. Well, there may be times that we are really happy, and maybe there may be some time for sadness, but overcoming those sadness may make us feel success and happy as well. But however, for most of the time, our life is just ordinary ones. Some keep repeating something like going to school, like attending a class from 9:30 to 5:30, and then going back for studying and then sleep. And if those, for most of the time, we are repeating some scheduled processes in our life, there may be some chances for us to be depressed. After, maybe at the beginning we are happy, however, maybe after many days we will become too bored, and because the life is so dull and we lost our passion. So how do you think that we could tolerate with those dullness or regular things?
All right, well, thank you very much. I'd like to share one thing. Yes, I'm sure we all do repeated things every day. Oh, you may take your seat if you prefer. It's true. I mean, like, I hate going to the toilet. My body doesn't let me just sit and do nothing. But the thing is that I feel there's shower, toilet, wake up, breathing. It's all routine, right? But the point is that for me, I like to just have a list of things that I want to get done today, where it gives me a goal or something to look forward to. Once I get everything done, when I wake up, I go brush my teeth, like, come on, go shower, come on, let's get it done. I just want to get it out of the way. It's in my way, and it's boring. I understand. I would say this is that if you can set aside a certain amount of time to do something you want to do, for example, Google, the company, I'm sure we all know Google, right? They have a rule where you spend 20% of your working time, the time they pay you, you're allowed to do your own thing for 20%. And they encourage it, because in those 20%, you might think of something completely crazy, but it's good. Services like Gmail was from someone sitting there bored. He thought of that because he was wasting time, you know? So yes, there's a lot of routines, oh, I must go to school, take the train, oh, it's so boring, right? But your mind can be thinking of other things. For example, when I'm on the toilet, I'm not thinking, let me focus on the toilet. No, I'm thinking of something else, right? Same thing with routine things, for example, doing your homework, right? Do your homework, get it done, but the thing is that if you have a reward after that, you will look forward to the reward, not so much the routine task. That's what I do for myself. And that keeps me excited for what's going to come up next. For example, you know when you were young, your mom would say you must have your vegetables, then you can have ice cream, right? So you would quickly eat your vegetables, get it done, and have your ice cream, right? Same with me. I do that to myself all the time. I have to give myself rubbish rewards just to make myself do my work, you know? So I would say the best way to make routines less boring is to set aside a certain amount of time you must promise yourself to give yourself. If you, that should be a period for yourself, you know? Like, for example, else but shower, right? So pretend you're showering really long, all right? And so set aside an hour for yourself to just do your thing. You might want to just read or just listen to music or where everybody just goes away. You need that time to really enjoy it for yourself, because every day you're going to wake up, go to school, go home, do your work, watch TV, go to sleep, right? Same routine. But eventually you get into the same cycle. And the only way to break it is every day you have to have one period of time that you say, this is non-negotiable. I have to do this for myself. Like, for example, doing exercise. Some people will skip meetings just to go for exercise because it's important to them, right? In the same way, it's a promise to yourself. I'm not telling yourself to like dedicate 2 hours every day. But like, for me, it works in like 25 minutes. 25 minutes is a lie to myself. What I do is basically trick myself. Half an hour seems like a long time, right? Oh, half an hour, that's too much. 20 minutes seems, oh, that's too little. Only 20 minutes, that's rubbish. 25 is just in the middle, where I'm like, okay, that's not too much, but that's not too little, okay. Then usually, when you do 25 minutes of something you like, you don't want to stop. and then you end up doing an hour. You know what I mean? So I lied to myself to make myself do what I want to do. You know, so hopefully that will help in breaking the routine of same every day. It's hard. I'm not going to deny that. I have the problem all the time because I have to work, right? It's the same thing, but sometimes you have to just. It's like my vacation to Bali. It made no sense. Paying money to go overseas to just sit and do nothing. That's pointless. But you have to just do that, and you realize that it helps. So if you set aside 25 minutes for the first day just to sit and read a book, you might realize, I like this. I want to spend 25 minutes every day to do this. And then you finish all your work, and you have 25 minutes of pure joy. Hopefully that'll help. Thanks.
Thank you for your speech. You talked about journaling, and you mentioned that through journaling you kind of discover yourself, who you are. But people say that every time you think about your past, you're actually reshaping the memory you have. So I'm just wondering, would journaling actually is who you are and kind of putting yourself into a stereotype?
Okay, well, I wouldn't say it would put me into a stereotype, because it depends on how you write a journal. For example, I write my journal every day. It's kind of like a review of my day, you know, just so that I can write and say, today I did da-da-da-da-da-da, I was very scared because da-da-da-da-da, oh, tomorrow I have this, so I'm very nervous, you know. And what happens is, I read it, let's say, every 10 days or every 1 month, just to remind myself what I felt. And so I still know how it felt afterwards. Okay, let's say you just broke up with your boyfriend or something like that, you know, and then you're very unhappy, you're like, oh, I miss him so much, he's the best guy, blah, blah. And then 1 month later, you still, oh, I miss him so much, and you read, oh, I miss him back then, I miss him now. You know, you're going to be thinking that. But I would say, if you are going to look at your past and take it from a negative way where you feel you did not grow as a person, I would think it would be, again, you are probably not doing something right in your life where you look forward to growing every day. For example, when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, I was miserable. It was the worst. I was, you know, all that stuff, right? But now when I think back, I'm like, I hate her, you know, who cares? I'm glad she's gone, you know? And the thing is that when I read about those entries when I'm like, all that stuff, I laugh because I'm like, I like her? Really? This? I could like this, you know? But the thing is, I would say, maybe because I try to every day have a certain set of goals to achieve, so it's about me saying, yeah, today I did this and I did that. Not so much, I could not do this, I could not do that. I don't like to write about all the things I failed. Because it's pointless. I failed, okay, I get it. You know, maybe I failed so much, I'm like, I'm bored of failing. You know, it's the same thing. So for me, I like to say what I did today. So 1 month later, when I reread it, I'm like, oh, I did this and this and this. Oh, I was very scared for that. Not so much like I still have no money, or I'm still not a billionaire. You know, that's pointless. So maybe it's the way of writing it that really matters. That if you talk about all the things you did do, then rereading it is encouraging. If you talk about all the things you did not do, then you're going to be saying, yeah, I didn't do it back then, why should I do it now? It's like basically fat people getting fatter. You know, I was fat back then, I'm still fat, so who cares, I'll stay fat, you know. Whereas if you could say I was 200 pounds back then, I'm 199 pounds today, you know, 1 month later I lost a pound, so I could lose another pound again, you know. That sort of thing. I think that's maybe my style of writing, and therefore it doesn't encourage me to just recur to the past and be unhappy about it. And hopefully that won't create a bad cycle of just negativity for me. But yes, there are people who would just write journals just to be like, life sucks. Well, then life sucks. You know? If you think that way, then you're going to be that way. Cool. I hope that answered your question. Thank you. See, this is so typical Hong Kong. First question comes, boom, 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 boom. Everyone wants to ask. Please feel free.
Thank you for your speech. With all the experience in the TV and film industry, so what do you think are the main differences between the Western Hollywood and the Indian Bollywood? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Western Hollywood and Indian Bollywood. Well, with Indian Bollywood, there's a lot of dancing and singing. The movies are really long, and usually Indian movies like to always have a positive twist. There's always like a good message at the end of the movie. It's always like, that felt good. Very rarely in an Indian movie would you have at the end of it to say, to be continued. Never. Because movies are 3 hours long. If you still need to continue, you are talking too much. Right? So I would say that's the biggest difference. Honestly, I don't watch too many Bollywood movies, partly because it's so long. 3 hours is a lot of time. Also probably because I don't watch too many movies in the first place, but a few Indian movies I have watched, I really enjoy just the whole flow of it, because it's always at the end of the show, at the end of the movie, encouraging. It's always got some encouraging message to take back with you. You know, it's not just about, oh, they're so happy, you know, but it's always like, oh, you know what, yeah, that makes sense. You know, like there's a hit movie, Three Idiots, everyone might have watched it. Slumdog Millionaire is another Indian-related movie. It's always something positive about it. I would say it's part of the Indian culture as well. You know, Indian people, we believe in karma, right? It's always about like, you do good things come back to you. Indian people, we like recycling everything, you know, reincarnation, karma. When you give us presents, we give it back to you. We always do that, you know. So even with movies, we want to always have something that comes back to the audience. Compared to Hollywood movies. Hollywood movies is more about the entertainment. Indian movies is entertainment and the message. That to me is the biggest difference. Cool. Thank you.
I would like to ask, in your view, what is your purpose of life? Is it simply just to be happy? Is that it?
Okay, no, it's not to be happy. That's too general an answer. I would say everyone has a different purpose. There's a comedian called Louis C.K. Oh, you may go back to the phone. There's a comedian called Louis C.K. and he has a show on American TV called Louis. And in one episode, he has a friend who was a stand-up comedian when he started as well, 20 years ago, right? So now his friend failed as a comedian. He came back to Louis to meet up with him after 20 years. And his friend is driving, drinking, he's like, oh, Louis, what's up? Now, the thing is that Louis and his friend go driving, and they're drinking, you know, they're going crazy. They go across the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. His friend gets out of the car and he says, Louis, this is it. You know, you're successful, you're a comedian, look at me. I'm not successful, I have no wife, no kids, no friends, nothing. I think this is it. And Louis is like, well, what do you mean? He's like, and his friend said, well, this is it. I'm saying bye to whatever people I know, and this is it. Meaning he's going to kill himself. Now, the typical thing is always going to be, oh, don't kill yourself, come on, man, many people love you, blah, blah, blah. But that's the typical answer that everyone is tired of hearing, right? Louis told the guy, he was like, that's not fair. You know, I can't sit here and tell you your purpose of living. You need to find it for yourself, and that's the whole journey. I mean, that's what I think as well, where I cannot tell you, okay, you were born to be a doctor, or you were born to help people. That's not the purpose. I think the purpose is really finding out who you are, and basically doing that, and really being honest to yourself. For example, there are many comedians in Hong Kong, or people who want to do stand-up comedy, and they go home, they think about it. One time this comedian had a bad day at work, and his boss was angry with him and everything. When he came to the comedy club, he was like, you know what, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to go up there and say a few jokes, I don't care. I'm unhappy right now, you know. And I told him, you know, that's really disrespectful to yourself. Because you worked so hard, so many weeks writing those few jokes, and now you're going to throw it away because your boss was a mean person today? Come on, right? So if you say the purpose, I would say it's the same with him. It's like he did not respect himself by not caring about his own work and going on stage and making rubbish jokes. The point would be finding out your purpose. Yes, again, that's an easy answer. But the point is it's a journey, it's a process to find out what you want. Not everybody knows what they want. And I truly believe this because I met so many people who wake up every day regretting that they have this job. They're like, oh man, I gotta go to my job, go see my boss, come home, my wife's angry, my kids hate me, oh, this sucks. But the thing is, I believe is that how much time do they really spend and ask themselves, was this what I wanted to start off with? And I would say the purpose for me is to find out what you want. Who are you and what do you want in this lifetime? At the end of the day, when you die, how do you want people to remember you? Do you want your name on a board, you know, in a building? Or do you want your name on a gravestone? You know, you can think about it, it's really your choice. And I would say the journey of finding it out is honestly more fun than finding it out itself. And it takes a lot of courage and adventure to find it out. So I would say, honestly, again, going back to journaling. Journaling really helped me in finding out, you know what, I really like this. I could see it because today I would write, I really enjoy stand-up comedy. 1 month later, I might still say, I really love stand-up comedy. So it reaffirms in my head that, you know what, I really like this. But today I might say, I really like comedy. 1 week later, I'm like, oh, comedy's fun, it's okay, I don't mind it, you know. And I would realize, you know what, it's not as fun as I thought it would be. So from writing it, I would keep reading that I really like something and I do it over and over again. And that way I find my purpose of being alive. So I kind of feel my purpose would be to make people laugh. You know, and that is one of my purposes, I would say. A really quick example, there are 2 types of people in this world, I believe. There's the type of people who like to host parties, and there's the type of people who like to be at parties. And the truth is, if you can ask yourself to see which person are you, do you like to go to parties, or do you like to organize parties that other people enjoy? Because I can tell you, I'm the type of guy who enjoys organizing parties that other people enjoy. I don't like partying, I'm not a party guy. But if I can do something that a whole group of people enjoy, that to me is happiness. Right? So I hope that answered your question as well. So, thank you.
Okay, and that would be the last question from the floor.
这是最后一个提问机会了。
Hiya, I really enjoyed your talk, and actually you have some crazy idea about like Indian names, because I do have some Indian friends, and I have no idea how to call their last name. Like, but luckily do you have some nickname that I can call them, so like English names. So how about you? Do you have any like nickname that your Chinese people call you?
Well, Ata is one of them. Sing. Well, nicknames actually people, well, proper ones, a lot of my friends just call me Abi, the letter B, Abi, I think. They call me just B because I always tell people, I'm like, look, my name is long. My full name is Mahbubani S.H.Ho. It's a bit long, I get it, you know, but I don't blame people, you know. I like it because the fun thing for me is that I get fans, okay, let's say, and I have people who are my fans who can't even pronounce my name. They're like, oh, I really like that guy. Where? Like, they don't even know my name. So my friends just call, my name is Vivek, right? So my friends just call me Viv, or even simpler, the letter V, just Avi. That's what people call me. And properly, then you know what, we don't have to be friends. That's pointless, then, you know. But I would say, honestly, nicknames, just if you're friends with someone, it doesn't matter. Like, I tell people, you know, you just come up to me like, I'll be like, oh, I have no problem with that. So people just call me Viv, you know, just to keep it simple. My mom calls me Viv as well. So if she likes it, I like it. You know? So yeah, that's a simple nickname for me. Thank you.
That's the end of the Q&A session.
问答环节到此结束。
Mr. Mahbubani, thank you for your time tonight.
多谢蒙巴纳先生的分享。
In order to express our gratitude, may we invite Master-san to present a souvenir to our guests.
为表达我们的谢意，请新院长为嘉宾赠送礼品。